Hey, Mark here. Before we get started, I just wanted to do something that I've never done before. I wanted to recommend a book that I absolutely love. It is called Best Movie Year Ever, written by Brian Raftery. It's about the movies of 1999 and how they blew up the big screen. Now, I'm not getting paid for this. This isn't a paid ad. I just wanted to promote it because not only did we use this book to research the movie that we're talking about tonight and other movies that we've used in our podcast, but Brian Raftery in 2017 interviewed me in an article for Wired. He talked to me about my dumb data, and it really helped me as far as a writer with opportunities and kind of confidence. And so now that he's got this book out, I really wanted to promote it. So go out, buy Best Movie Year Ever by Brian Raftery. You won't regret it. I mean, 1999 was a killer year for movies. I'm sure you'll love this book. Thanks. Welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who just said that my beard looks fake. It's Chris Kelly.
Hello, everyone.
So you started off with a compliment. Man, Mark, that summer beard is looking great. And you're like, but it looks fake.
Started growing it in winter.
And then I ripped it off.
Of 2016.
And you fainted. I've been Matthew Lillard this entire time.
I knew it. Mark
Hoffmeyer's day off. Ferris Bueller. Gee, the older I get, the less I like Ferris Bueller. How do you feel about that?
He's kind of a punk. Looking at it now that we're like adults and we look back at it now, and he's kind of like, I don't want to go to school. Like, what? It's not that. Like, it doesn't seem like you had a very hard time in school.
Yeah, he's just, Then
again, he did hack into the school system and change his grades.
Smart kid. Now, that was a pretty good tie-in, because we're talking about election today. How'd you do that? Did you think about doing that, or is that just a coincidence?
That's how good I am, actually.
Has Matthew Lillard ever been in a movie with Matthew Broderick? Can you think about Wing Commander? Matthew Lillard, Matthew Broderick, and Wing Commander.
In The Three Matthews. Who's the third Matthew? That's the Shyamalan twist.
Yeah. McConaughey. Wait, Matthew... Wait, there's Matthew Modine, Matthew Broderick, Matthew
Modine. That's a guy that's been quietly successful.
He stays busy. He's
a very successful man, and he does a lot of movies, and he's kind of flying under the radar, but he's still really successful.
He pops up in Stranger Things, Dark Knight Rises.
He was in 47 Meters Down.
Well, I like that movie. The sequel looks good, dude.
Oh, yeah. Did you see my Instagram where I posted a picture of the shark that was, like, attacking me? They have this giant cardboard cutout at the Regal Cinema.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was like,
you gotta watch out for theater sharks.
There's one thing I learned about the Sci-Fi Channel original movie, Ghost Shark. It is, you gotta watch out anywhere for a shark. Anywhere there's water, they can pop out.
Anywhere?
Anywhere. That's why it's gonna get kind of gross, but the guy who goes to the bathroom and then,
That's terrifying.
I thought that was so funny. Then it starts, the rainstorm happens, they're like, oh my God.
That sounds horrible.
Fantastic.
I'm also excited for the alligator picture that's coming out, where she gets trapped in New Orleans.
Crawl?
Yeah, Bee Pepper and Kayla Scodelario, the Maze Runner people.
Alexander Aya. I love his movies, man.
Piranha.
I love how he's kind of found his market where he's like overly gory and doesn't take it seriously. He's like turning into like kind of like a more serious, if Roger Corman ever took himself seriously.
Yeah.
I think that I love the way the direction of his movie is going.
I mean, he nailed Piranha. That movie is smut.
Oh, yeah. And Piranha 3 Double D.
Oh, jeez Louise.
Oh, yeah.
And then he also did Hills Have Eyes. I thought that was solid.
Great.
Yeah, that's a good horror remake.
I was probably in the minority with this, but I felt like that was a lot better than the original.
It's technically probably right. I think, you know why I like that remake is so many of the remakes in the 2000s were very, like by Platinum Dunes who did Texas Chainsaw, they're very glossy. This one actually felt like there was dirt.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
No, I absolutely agree with you on that. And I felt the same way, was that, the director of Alexander Payne actually brings this up in the commentary, was that they didn't like how everything looked polished, everything looked clean. But then with The Hills Have Eyes, you felt like you were there with them in the dirt, in the trenches. And I love that about
You got sand in your shoes. When you left the theater, you poured it out. But no, so since we're talking about election, there's a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack here. So we'll jump right into it. But we both listened to the commentary, correct?
Correct.
I love how, he went back to Omaha. He shot in a school that during the school year, he brought in a lot of the students as extras. I mean, the authenticity of this movie is off the charts.
And a lot of the bit parts, such as like the teachers and the students, were all played by real students and teachers that actually worked there or in the neighboring schools, which I thought was a wonderful choice because it gave more realistic feel to the film.
Chris Klein, he met in Omaha. He just had done some music theater.
And he was working out of the gym at the school that he was at. Alexander Payne was scouting. Yeah. He didn't wound up not using the school, but he met him and they were like, hey, he's interested in being an actor. Chris Klein is interested in being an actor. Maybe you two should talk. And he was like, okay, cool. And in the commentary, he explains that he had Chris Klein come in to read and he just got the character. Like he understood who Paul Metzler was. He knew that he was just kind of like this, like kind of like a fresh baby, I guess you would say. Like very newborn baby. Like that's kind of how his character was. He's just kind of like, yeah. And I thought that was brilliant because that's exactly who the character was.
Definitely dumb, but I kind of like that about him. There's an earnestness to him. I don't think there's a dumbness. I just think he's so earnest. He doesn't really consider.
I think he's just too nice. He believes in the niceness of everybody. Whereas, you have the direct opposite with Tracy, who just thinks everyone is. I mean, I don't know if I should say like she thinks that everybody is bad, but she's almost like what was the quote that I had found?
While you're looking for that, so she thinks. So you say that like she thinks everyone's bad. I think she's just so driven to be the best that she doesn't think about a lot of other people. People aren't on her bubble. I guess that's the way I kind of took her. And I was also very happy to learn that she got nominated for a Golden Globe for this movie. And then the writers, Taylor and Alexander Payne, they got nominated for an Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. That made me really happy about this movie.
Very well deserved, too, by the book by Tom Perrotta, who also wrote Little Children. I thought it was a very well-deserved Oscar nomination. I do maybe want to read the book because according to Alexander Payne, they changed the character of Tracy slightly, whereas in the book, she's more sexual.
Yeah, she's more, sexually manipulative, and in this one, she's more
reserved.
Driven. Like, she's more goal-oriented, not like, she's not like sexually manipulative, she just used her goals, like, she's very driven in a different way. In this.
Yes, I would say that's more accurate. And this reminds me of the quote that I just found. That was in a review by Roger Ebert. He quoted David Merrick. He said that the character of Tracy Flick reminds him of this quote, which was, "It's not enough for me to win. My enemies must lose." Yeah, and that's kind of sums her up completely.
I think it's interesting too. I also like how. The original cut, they had scenes where the mom was giving her pills if she was depressed, or her mom was chastising her for certain scenes.
She did give her pills.
Oh, you're right.
But he said that it kind of gets lost because everyone thinks that it's funny, but he's like, this is kind of scary to me. Yeah. But whatever makes it work.
And the mom says, maybe you should have done this instead of this. And so this is a girl who's 17. So it's, in our heads, we're thinking, there are certain people who consider her to be a villain and all this, but she's just a girl. When she met the teacher, Dave, who she had an affair with, they started her junior year when she was probably 16. I mean, this is a girl who could be, I think also the narrators in this movie, it's played a lot for humor, but I think they're pretty unreliable because you have scenes where Matthew Broderick is talking about his wife, like we are soulmates and best friends and we share everything together. And then she goes, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Then he goes downstairs and watches porn and drinks Pepsi because it's number 2. And he runs in circles, and he has a horrible car.
I love how the director mentions that like he constantly shows the character of Jim McAllister, played by Matthew Broderick, that he's always in circles. Yep. And his pajamas have circles on him. His tie has circles on him, and we're introduced to him by running on a track.
And doing terrible push-ups. And he's always followed by trash. I love at the end how the truck is just following him. In the beginning, he shoots himself in the foot because he pisses off the janitor with trash. Yeah. And there's just so much... It's a trashy movie.
He's a trash person, and that's literally what he's subliminally trying to tell us.
He is a trash person.
He's not a good guy at all.
He's a gross little man.
Which brings me to a great quote that I read from Chris Scullion. from his website, that was a bitmental.com, that he wrote his review of this. It's a website that he reviews a lot of movies and mainly video games, but he reviewed this movie back in 2015. And he said, who's the protagonist here? Almost everyone here is a prick. Yeah. I just started laughing when I read that because, yes, that's accurate. Who are we supposed to be rooting for? Maybe Tammy? Because that's what Alexander says in the commentary. He says it feels like, Tammy is the one that we're supposed to be rooting for because she's the one who, she expresses her love to the other lady. It was her first love, but she gets rejected. So we all know what that feels like. And then
Lisa. She likes Lisa. She goes pretty overboard with her Lisa, though. She's just like, we're going to be together forever. Like,
but isn't that kind of what you
right?
felt like whenever you were 16?
And she probably didn't have any soul, like anybody else in Omaha to really have that relationship with. So she probably wasn't young love.
Of course.
And she didn't have anyone to talk about it. Like, she couldn't talk to her parents about it. So
obviously.
So then she didn't have the right way to do it. So I guess that does make sense. But Paul, what about her brother? So when Chris Klein, Paul, starts dating almost immediately her best friend, Lisa, he never thinks twice about it. Do you think that's kind of like he just floated through life and never considered his sister? But he does love his...
I think in his mind, she just asked him for a ride home, then she goes down on him, and then he's just kind of like, oh, well, this is cool. Yeah. And then he just kind of goes with it, and then he's like, oh, well, you want to help me out? Yeah, she's not that bad of a person. But I think for Lisa, it was more of a revenge thing.
Oh, she manipulates.
That she was going after Paul to get back at Tammy.
Yeah. And the writer,
that's what it was.
Tom Perrotta, he did say that she got the short shrift in the movie. She's more of a character in the book, which I thought was interesting. And also, the writer, he taught at Harvard and Yale, and he saw a lot of students come in, female students that were very driven, like a new breed of student. And he said a lot of men or male classmates were intimidated by them, even though these students weren't doing anything wrong, but the guys were like, whoa, she's driven? Oh, hey, what is this? I'm a man. She can't do this to me. But then that idea came, and then also the election in 92, and then he also heard a story about a teacher somewhere that did something. So he drew all these influences together. I thought that was pretty interesting how he came up with that.
It was also, I believe, the book was based on a movie about a woman that was being driven as a journalist. I forget the name of the movie. I forgot to write
Kramer vs. Kramer.
Starring Chuck Finn.
Yeah. And so he wrote this book in 92, and then I guess for better or worse for him, that's when teen movies started hitting up big later. Clueless 95, you had Empire Records 95. But I started looking through these movies in the 90s. In 99, Election comes out, right? Mm-hmm. And I was actually working in a movie theater when I watched it. And
oh, that's cool.
I loved it. My brother watched it, told me to watch it, so it came in my theater and I watched it. And everyone hated it, all the people my age.
I think it just didn't hit with a lot of younger audiences.
This is an older movie. I'm watching it now laughing. Because I get the jokes.
It's a teenage movie that's focused on the adults.
Yeah. And I mean, who is it marketed for? But it came out during the same time of in 99, She's All That, American Pie, 10 Things I Hate About You, Drive Me Crazy, Jawbreaker, Teaching Mrs. Tingle, Detroit Rock City, Never Been Kissed, Varsity Blues, Dick, Idle Hands, Drop Dead Gorgeous, Cruel Intentions, Outside Providence, The Wood. All these movies came out in 99. Teen movies.
Damn.
So this one comes out and you're like, oh, I'm going to go watch that election picture with that weird trailer. And then you watch it and, I mean, I feel weird saying this, but in the beginning when Dave is talking about Tracy Flick, this high schooler, and whatever, we'll get our PG-13, but he goes, her pussy gets so wet. I feel so dirty saying that. Oh, gosh. But
I felt when he said that, I was like,
yeah.
I was a little bit like,
yeah, I had to say it, but now I'm feeling dirty. But you're just like, oh my gosh. And then, just the weird, very random sex scenes where his, Matthew Broderick's wife is like, fill me up. And then he starts envisioning people. And it's very funny. Now that I watch it, I just laugh out loud at the movie. But when I saw it, I really appreciate it. I loved Election when I saw it in 99. But a lot of people are like, that movie's stupid. Let's go watch She's All That again.
Well, I mean,
it's marketing too.
The target audience being, I guess it would probably be maybe targeted towards people in their 30s. But I think that's probably what lost it. I mean, it also came out on May 7th, which was probably not the best time, because usually that would be around the time springtime.
Yeah.
So then what would people normally be going to see?
Well, that was kind of that wasn't summer season. Remember when summer season used to kick off in June? Mm. So this was the month maybe before. It was maybe like the January of months. I guess I can look at May 1999 of movies. We can look that up later. But it wasn't, summer season hadn't kicked off yet. So maybe they were just ramping up for it and releasing a little bit of little films before summer took over.
That could have been. I'm not really quite sure what their thinking was at May 7th, because that doesn't really seem like a good time to release a teenage type of film, right. Because maybe it could have been a lot of different things. I mean, it was a $25 million budget and it made back 14 million. That's a big kick in the pants.
And MTV released it too. So you thought, MTV released it. Oh, this is going to be hip.
And they crushed it later on in life. I mean, they were doing fairly well. MTV Films. You had Varsity Blues,
Rushmore,
Kingpin,
Virgin Suicide,
Beavis and Butthead Do America,
Kramer vs. Kramer.
One thing I thought was,
thank you.
What a few things I found was pretty interesting was that the same guys who produced this, Albert Berger, wound up producing Nebraska.
Yep, good movie.
That was a great movie. And Jim Burke produced Green Book, which won Best Picture last year.
So it had some big producers behind it.
It did. And David Gale, who was the driving force behind MTV Films in the 90s and the early 2000s, he was one of the producers on this as well. He wound up doing Dead Man on Campus and Kings of Comedy, as well as the other movies that we did mention.
I got some beers, man. We should drink them. I love that line. I don't know anything else about that movie, but I got some beers. We should drink
Varsity Blues?
No, Dead Man on Campus.
Oh, I just remember that. I remember the ending that Mark Paul Gosselaar's like cleaning toilets. I remember that part. And I just remember whenever the guy opens up the shower curtain, that they're standing there with a knife and the other one has like a rope. And he's like, they're like, ah! He's like, what the hell is going on? But, I mean, this movie has done fairly well for itself over time. I would say that it probably gained a cult following. I noticed a lot of, when I was researching this movie, I noticed a lot of 20-year anniversary articles on this. A lot of them are referencing the 2016 election in relation to this, which I think is kind of ridiculous, considering that's like saying you can look 17 years in the future, base a movie now on it. That doesn't really...
Hey, so Alexander Payne, did you know Trump was going to run for president?
That was kind of like what...
No, wait, did you know Trump was going to run for president in 92 when you wrote the book?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, that's kind of ridiculous to think that. But the movie has gotten a strong cult following, I'm assuming because the 90s have made a full comeback.
Well, it's good, though. This is
and it's a damn good movie.
This is one of those movies that's good. And people... I think I like it more than when I saw it when I was 19, because I have a better understanding of it.
I originally saw it on Comedy Central, because remember, Comedy Central in the early 2000s was not what it was now.
Yeah.
They would literally have a commercial break every 8 minutes on the 8-minute mark. So literally sometimes in the middle of a conversation, cut to commercial. Yep. But that's when I saw Election, because they would show more obscure comedies.
Monty Python, The Holy Grail, they used to play all the time.
Life of Brian. Yeah. They used to play, Monty Python, The Holy Grail all the time. But over the years, it really has held up, because if you look up older films, or not, I guess you can call this an older film now, the scores on the different websites will drop. They do drop over the years because people tend to think differently about them. But this one is kind of held up on IMDb. It gets a 7.3, 83 That's meta.
Good. 83 meta? That's high.
And 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
How could you give this a negative review?
I would think if you didn't understand it, because I know that sometimes these comedies don't really land. People don't like dark comedies. They look at I'll mention that later down.
A dark comedy.
I'll mention a really dark comedy in my recommendations later on, but that one kind of some people don't understand it. Or a city like City of Lost Children, for instance.
Jeez Louise, yeah.
People just don't get it, or they don't understand how these things can be comedies, and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, it's like, yes, it is. It's kind of hilarious that this man, who is a very well-respected teacher and does a good job, he's a good teacher at first, is literally sabotaging his career because he doesn't want this girl to succeed. And why? Considering it won't affect his life at all.
None.
But because he thinks that she'll affect other people. It's like, would she? I don't know. Possibly. But I just think that idea is just really funny to think
Even
about.
when she rips down the posters, Tracy Flick, in this movie, I don't see it as overly malicious. I just think she's had a rough life. You know, her dad wasn't around. She was an older gentleman. She had a relationship with an older guy. She hasn't, her mom isn't easy on her. I think it was just a moment of frustration, not maliciousness by her character. I just think she snapped.
When she tore down on the posters. I think that I agree with you on that. I think she was more angry at the fact that things aren't going the way she wants them to. And then just the fact that this poster keeps falling down is to show, like, kind of mocking her almost. I mean, like, you can't make me stand up. And she's like, yeah, I'll show you. Yeah, and she rips
it wasn't
to shreds.
Premeditated, right?
No, I don't think so at all. I
gotta tell you, dude, that scene when he takes her home, Dave, the teacher, takes her home. He's like, get down. And then he puts on once, twice, 3 times a lady. I gotta tell you, though, Reese Witherspoon, she got a Golden Globe nomination, but she should have received an Oscar nomination. And Broderick, because they are very good in this movie. But when he's in the bedroom and the arm comes out and he puts it on her shoulder and drags her into the room, Reese Witherspoon does this weird little walk. Did you notice it? Like a very young...
I don't think I paid attention to it.
Yeah, you should just watch the walk. Like, you never see her walk like that in the entire movie. She just does this little walk.
It's just like she's scared, but at the same time, she's like, this must be okay because this is an adult.
It's he doesn't make it's very uncomfortable. And so I thought that was pretty... And I just want to tell you something real quick. Jason Reitman, he does screenings for movies. And he's the guy who did Juno and all those films. Mm-hmm. He brought in Chris Klein to talk about Election. And Klein talked about how his whole story about he didn't want his grandma to see it. And he's actually mad at Jason Reitman a little bit because he's like, this kicked off my career in Hollywood, which has been insane. Because he was this kid in Omaha and never acted. 2 years later, he's headlined in a $110 million movie called Rollerball, which is terrible. So I can't.
You know what he's doing now?
What?
He's doing Benchwarmers 2, Breaking Balls.
I mean, I feel bad for the guy because he was plucked out of Omaha.
He was doing well though for a little bit because he was a reoccurring character on Wilfred recently. Yeah. So I mean he was doing all right. He's
doing good.
I kind of feel for him though because he does have that, like you were saying, like, I mean, he's this Midwest guy and he kind of has this persona that's very like, I guess you'd say welcoming and polite at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like that got taken advantage of, in my opinion. And they just kind of stuck him there. As
Rollerball.
Let's put him in Rollerball. Let's put him in Street Fighter 2, The Legend of Chun-Li.
In a movie where he has to punch a cow in the ass to get a ring out of it or something. Remember that movie with Heather Graham? Where they think they're brother and sister, and you don't remember that? And then he has a movie with Lily Sobieski. There's a drama here on Earth, but he picks up this cow's tail and just goes right into his butt. Punches it right in the ass. Cow punch.
Oh my god! Yep. No, I forgot all about that.
Jacks a cow right in the butt. But so as they finished, the director Alexander Payne sent a text message to Reitman, and he summed up the entirety of. This is how he explains Election now. So this is what the director Alexander Payne sent to Jason Reitman. The entire movie rests on the one shot of the protagonist washing his genitalia in the shower of that motel room. There's just Matthew Broderick scrubbing his balls.
I don't know how. I mean, that was like a small moment that I like kind of remember.
But it's like this movie's so loaded. Like, so he's this married guy who's about to rig an election, and he's having an affair with a woman that he somewhat loves. His wife seems really chill, by the way.
She seems great.
Yeah, and so then he's just sitting in a motel room cleaning his balls. It's just a weird scene, dude.
He mentions that in the commentary, and he said that he put that in there because he said every guy that he's talked to about going on their first date, or they know that they're gonna have sex, that they do that.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean,
Now, I did show a scene to my students in this. So in this movie, I love his complaints. He hates wet downs of streets.
Yeah. I do too.
Taking off the rear view mirror of a car. But I liked in this that he uses actual homes. I thought that was really cool. But in this scene, he did have some shots where he had to build them in sets. Where he built those really tall rooms. And
he says that they would normally use a crane, but he said that they
couldn't fit it.
Exactly. So they had, because he wanted to show all 4 walls. Yep. So they had to have like they brought some guys down from Canada to be like a pulley system. They just had the guy with the camera, then they pulled him up.
That's really cool. So I showed that to my student. I showed them the on-location shooting and how authentic it looks, and they shot in a school during school time. And then I showed them how tall the rooms were and how they pulled that shot off, and I kind of drew it out on the board. Oh, and they're all like, oh my gosh.
It's really impressive.
Yeah.
I liked also to go with them shooting at an actual school. He mentions in the commentary that he wanted to use as much of the lighting of a school that you would normally use. Yeah. He said that the schools, that one of the things that he noticed a lot in these schools was that there was not a lot of windows. So it's almost like who are the, and students refer to themselves as like being prisoners there. So he said, well, who's the real prisoners? Because the teachers are the ones who are there longer than the students.
Yep.
And he also wanted to showcase the bad lighting that was in these schools, which was the fluorescent lighting. And it's like, if you watch the movie again or pay attention to that, you'll notice that there's not a lot of soft lighting. It's a lot of hard lighting, but it's because he wanted it to look like you were actually there. And it was really well done. One thing I wanted to talk about was in the beginning with the student that says to Matthew Broderick when he's like, okay, well, class has ended, the bell rings. And he goes up to him, he's like, oh, hey, I missed that test the other day. Can I do a retake? And he said, the Alexander Payne says in the commentary, he just went up to this kid and said, hey, I want you to say this to Matthew Broderick while you're leaving, and we're going to get his reation. And that's why it looks so authentic, because he's just like...
And the kid improvised it, too.
There was a lot of improvisation. Sorry. In the movie, because he wanted to make it feel as realistic as possible. He has a lot of the students, he said that he brought, a lot of the like I said earlier, a lot of the bit parts were done by real students from that school.
Super authentic. That's why it's aged well, I think.
Yeah, and you can relate to it because a lot of these people they don't feel like actors because they're not. And he put very minimal amount of makeup on them just to kind of clean them up. But he had the students basically look like how they did when they came in. There wasn't a lot of makeup, not a lot of hair done, and the clothing was usually theirs. So these kids looked exactly like how they would normally look.
Did you work on that movie Premature with me? Because that was in a high school every day, Groundhog Day, mainly in a high school. But we shot during the summer, so we didn't get to use it. Did you work on that with me?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. But that was, you watch it now and then you watch Election, and it's so smart how he did that with the students. It just adds so much authenticity.
It does. And it makes you believe that this is a real thing that you're watching, as opposed to
sending kids all day.
Like disturbing behavior where you're like, these people would never.
This kid's 40. Yeah. And then we did that Airborne pod, and I love that movie, and it was a really fun podcast. But there's a guy in that movie that was like 27, and he looks like a 40-year-old dude. I love how
they made fun of that in Scary Movie, where they had like Marlon Wayans playing a high school student who's clearly like 35. Yeah. They made that movie.
But I really like how they did that. I guess what I was bringing up before is that movie Premature is good, but I guess just the extra thought he put into it with Election, with the authenticity of it. I mean, it's just...
And also, you do want to showcase, your hometown. Yep. So, he's from that area. They shot like right by the high school that he went to. Some of the teachers that were in that, the lady at the end, the Spanish teacher, was the actual Spanish teacher of the director in real life.
Oh, that's cool.
And the two ladies that were at the election ballots, the two older ladies, they were the teachers of the director in real life when he was in high school.
I'm Tracy Flick. I know.
Yeah.
I heard that line. I was like, oh, that was so good.
But it adds to the authenticity of the film. And I think, much like what you said, that's one of the reasons why it's stood the test of time. Yeah, because people don't look at it and go, oh, well, this person doesn't fit. It's like, no, everybody jives really well.
And I also showed my students the scene, I don't know if you remember during the commentary, where let's see, it's Matthew Broderick, and I guess we could say his character name, but whatever. It's Mr. McAllister, and then it's the kid, Larry, played by Nicholas D'Augusto, who has acted a lot since this movie, the kid who spits on his window. This was his first movie, and he's been busy since 99.
He says in the commentary that the kid was actually just a kid that went to the school, and he was like part of the drama class, if I'm not mistaken. So he wanted to give him this small role, but he was literally just a kid that went to the school.
And now he's in Gotham as Harvey Dent. The kid works. So it's kind of neat that this was his first movie. But I like that scene when he explains in the commentary how he's like, I did this by accident, but it looks pretty great, where the shots on Broderick are just a flat-on shot, like just a static camera shot. But then when you cut over to Larry, it was a little skewed. It was a little, cockeyed. So it kind of put the world off center.
Oh, that's reversed. Actually.
Yeah. Matthew Broderick was kind of cockeyed. Matthew Broderick was
cockeyed, and Larry was straight on. But the opening shot of that, where he had to get the principal and Larry and McAllister, because Larry's so tall, I think he's like 6'4",
big kid,
something like that. But he couldn't. They shot that in the detention area of the actual school to redress it like the principal's office. So they had to cock it, basically, to get everybody in there. And like a lot of people who would watch the movie say, well, why don't they remove the wall? It's like, because they couldn't. It was a real
on location.
It was, yeah. And I like Alexander Payne's choice to, like you said, that he likes to shoot in these people's actual houses and the school because it adds more authenticity to the film, and and also, I mean, it's somewhat cheaper.
Yeah,
let's just face facts here, and you're saving a lot of money.
Exactly. Especially, Omaha too. There's no sound stages. Maybe there's abandoned warehouses.
I'm sure they may have one because I think
I'm sure there's abandoned
Nebraska
warehouses
has
everywhere.
A few.
Yeah,
they got to have a few, like at least one sound stage.
Yeah, you're right.
They got to shoot something out there. I mean, I'm not sure. I've never looked into Nebraska's film, but I'm sure they do have something.
I mean, Atlanta, we took empty facilities and just shot at them.
Oh my God.
Is that your garage? Shooting a movie, fella. Wait, what?
there's a lot of shooting locations where you're like, there's no way in crap. And it's like, yep, right there. That's where they shot that scene. You're like, no.
I do think, though, that Orson Welles would have been happy about that happy accident. Like, that's what Orson Welles says, that happens on set, the happy accidents that he loves. Yeah. I just like that. You're right. It was tilted on Broderick, but this is the point where, he wanted to go have that affair. No. She wasn't there, and he had been stung by a bee, and he was having a really rough day, and and then he was just kind of off, and then so they kind of took the camera and cockeyed it.
Yeah.
And I know it was a happy accident, but it does add to the scene, because you have the very straight-laced Larry, then you have him kind of losing it off-center. And I like that he said that bee sting is is a visual representation of moral decay on Matthew Broderick's face, and I kind of love that.
In the commentary, he says that they needed to add something that didn't happen in the movie yet that's funny. And he's like, well, we wrote out a bunch of different things, like he trips and falls, but it didn't really work. And he's like, get stung by a bee. It worked.
That's a good bit.
Right, yeah, it's definitely something you don't expect. And it's like, well, yeah, that might have happened. That would actually happen.
Remember in the trailer how they played that for That was really heavily featured in the trailer.
I thought that was like the part of the beginning of the movie almost, because it seemed like it was like a big part. Was this kind of like, nah,
we need to show some really comedy. Cool. Let's have Broderick. That was featured big time. Just going, ah!
One of the things that he says in the commentary about the character of Larry is that he says that he saw him as Jim McAllister was when he was in high school. And that's the reason why he acts the way he does, is he's very straight-laced, very honest, very direct, which is how he imagined that Jim McAllister was when he was younger, until I guess you would say the weight of the world just crushed him. And he said that one of the funnier things was that he was shocked to see people get corrupted.
Yeah.
It's like, how could this happen? And he's like, well, pretty easily.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting, but
I just love how he went out of his way to make Broderick just look like such a dork, right? About corrupt, like just the circles, the Pepsi,
what's interesting.
Broderick it's a really unselfish performance by Broderick. I don't think a lot of actors would have played it the way he did, because there's no wink of irony or anything. He's a loser, not a loser. Maybe he's internally decaying, but on the he's still good to his students, but on the inside he's
kind of done with it. I would say that he's at that point where he says that he's supposed to be 35 to 40 years old. And he's been a teacher for well over a decade at this point.
14 years or something?
Somewhere around there, yeah. So he's kind of like, he's kind of at that point in his life where he's like, what does it all mean? Because he's seeing time and time again that the same thing happens. And he mentions it, Alexander Payne mentions this in the commentary. He says that, no matter what, no matter how old you get, nothing really does change. You're always going to see the same type of people. You're always going to see the same things happen over and over again. So he's seeing this over and over again. He's always going to see a Tracy flick, which we see whenever he's a museum.
A docent. Yeah. I'm teaching again.
What he says in the commentary, it's kind of a cheeky nod to him being back to Nebraska, was that he's teaching at the museum by a buffalo, which I was like, eh. He's like, he says, some people might catch this. I did. I love it. You may not. Whatever. But I was like, eh.
I looked up the pay right now for a docent at the museum, like a full time, and they make $64,000. But that's about 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, that's not halved quite. But let's say it's about 40,000.
Yeah.
I mean, but New York City. But he had that
New York City.
He had that tiny little apartment. He's like, it's not bad. It's comfortable.
That was a real apartment that they shot in.
Yeah.
He says in the commentary that was a real 300 square foot apartment.
And that was all reshoots. They didn't want to. Did you know about the original ending?
Yeah, they wrote it out much like in the book, where he's a used car salesman,
Saturn dealer,
and Tracy Flick comes to confront him.
Yeah, she buys a car there, And then they're driving around, and then he learns that she grew up in the really rough part of town, and then she has him sign her old yearbook, and there's no signatures in it. So it was like a really... And then he kicks a trash can. So, yeah, everyone loved it. Broderick loved it. Reese loved it. She's like, I love the new ending, too. But I guess they had an understanding after that point. But after all the humor of the movie and them hating each other, like, no, we're not finishing with a nice, bittersweet ending.
Yeah, that wouldn't. I don't think I would have liked that. I would like to have seen that. Like, if they released a 20th anniversary DVD with like deleted scenes. I would love to see that, but I don't think I would like that. I like how he just kind of he does that voiceover and he's like, all that rage came back, and I just wanted to say to her, "You did this." He chucks his milkshake at her.
We'll get our PG-13. Who the fuck does she think she is? And then he nailed it. They did that 19 times and he nailed it on the first.
Nice.
He missed every other time.
It was a pretty long throw.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably a good, 15 feet.
And then he's running away with the guy going, "You asshole."
He says
what a perfect ending.
He says that in the commentary. He's like, I love how American films are showing the main characters running away from the camera while someone's screaming at them now.
Oh, I love that ending. Hey, so how about this? Before we talk about more of this movie, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more election. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And I gotta tell you, Chris, when I ran for president in my high school, I lost. No controversy.
Didn't have enough trash.
You wanna know why I didn't run? Why I didn't win? Because I didn't even know there was an election.
To be honest with you, I was in detention the entire time.
Well, I got accepted into National Honor Society, but I found out you had to pay for it. And I had no money, so I just stopped going.
Yeah,
but then I didn't tell... Because I was like, why do I have to pay for getting good grades? But I didn't tell any of my teachers. So whenever there was a National Honor Society meeting, I would just... I got to go to National Honor Society, and I would just leave.
Like, that Hoffmeyer, I'm telling you, his good grades are finally...
Yeah, no, I kept them all up, but I never told anybody that my teachers, I stopped doing National Honor Society. So then, I got to go for a meeting. And then I'll just get in my car and go to Kentucky Fried Chicken or Wendy's or something.
This $5 box is only for $4.
It's not bad.
Everything is coming up Hoffmeyer.
Why are you paying? You have good grades, right? And why do you have to pay? I mean, are there dues? Do you get a sweater? Can't you just hang out and... isn't that enough to have good grades?
I would think that if you did, get, a sweatshirt or something, they would probably ask you for, a couple of bucks, but I can only imagine why you would have to pay just to be in the society.
I was like that guy from Malibu's Most Wanted. I don't have any money. I can't afford this.
Does this have a Groupon?
Do you drink Pepsi?
I don't really drink soda at all, but I'm always, if I do, it'll be Sprite, or I'll do Coke. I'm more of a Coke guy.
When you drank soda, did you ever just go, I want a Pepsi?
I honestly have never said that.
Unless you're at KFC. Or Pizza Hut. Or Taco Bell?
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were crazy about the Mountain Dews.
They had all the Pepsi stuff.
You remember that they had Darth Dew for whenever the new Star Wars
Code
came
Red.
out? Code Red.
You remember that song? I'm at the Pizza Hut. I'm at the Taco Bell. I'm at the combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. Have you ever heard that song?
Did you just make that up?
No, when I worked...
It was part of your honor, it was part of your honor society.
When I worked... Yeah,
that was the initiation
That was one of my presidential speech. When I worked at a club called bar, it's not a club, bar called Big Daddy's, he used to play that song.
That wasn't the name of a club called Big Daddy's? That is such a Big
Daddy's. It was like a band. So we had My Chemical Romance playing there before they were big in front of 30 people. I mean, we had some pretty big hardcore bands, all that kind of stuff. But he would do dance nights. And it was, I'm at a combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. And so I don't know. I don't know why I told you that
Then
story.
I turned around and went to Del Taco.
I tell you what, though, they were at Godfather's Pizza in this movie, correct? When they went out for pizza in this movie. It was Reese Witherspoon, Dave, and she said, and then it just became he and I eating pizza. But that
I remember the scene, but I didn't know if that was that Godfather's Pizza?
Godfather's Pizza, there's so many, so my family lives in a place called Sheldon, Iowa, and I love it. It's awesome out there, but they got a Godfather's. And so, a lot of places I've been to, maybe Omaha, Iowa, I know they're really far apart. But I'm wondering if that's what that is, a chain that's in kind of smaller cities. Because I've never seen one in Florida or Atlanta.
Godfather's?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely one in downtown Atlanta.
It's
right across from Varsity's.
The real, is it a chain?
Yeah, it's a pizza chain. As far as I know. I mean, I'm not really...
Well, you just wrecked my story, Chris Kelly. This is stupid. What is this stupid world? I hate it. What a bunch of bull crap garbage.
But there was something.
What am I doing with my life?
There is something that's noteworthy of a chain place. The diner that Jim McAllister eats at the end is a place called Grandma's that was owned by the local governor. Owned by the governor of Nebraska at the time. That's actually a chain in Nebraska.
He likes his pie.
Yeah, what was interesting was that, I know that you've noticed this, but the use of apples throughout the whole movie.
Yep.
And how apple is a symbolization of, the temptation, the fruit of temptation. Yep. And everywhere that Matthew Broderick is, there's usually an apple somewhere in that scene. And then whenever he decides to finally cheat on his wife, he takes a bite out of the apple. So throughout the whole movie, there's all these apples. And even up until the point where he walks into the room and his wife is talking with the woman that he cheated on her with, there's a string of apples above the door. Now, to end his apples is him eating apple pie at Grandma's. And so it's kind of like his apples have been smushed. That's how the director put it.
Oh, yeah, because when he is driving, let me get her name. He's driving. What is her name? Do you remember that? What it is? The name he has an affair with.
I do not.
Oh, Linda. When he's driving Linda home from the mall, and he looks at the hotel, and he goes, "Should we stop there?"
That's a real hotel with a real name.
And she goes, "That's not funny," because her husband cheated on her with Witherspoon, and then he comes home and bites the apple after he makes that comment.
Yeah.
Oh, so he turned bad in that scene.
Right there, he's biting into the temptation.
And then he has that sex scene where he's visualizing different women's heads telling him to fill him up.
Yeah. It's funny, but it's like, it's gross, but at the same time funny, especially with Tracy, when she's like, "Oh yes, right there." And you're just like,
This is a really good performance by Broderick, though. I mean, he had to.
Well, at the same time, we have to understand that Matthew Broderick, I mean, in the 80s, he was a dynamite actor. Same thing with Val Kilmer. Same thing with Tom Cruise. Same thing with
other people.
When we did that 80s podcast, did that 80s podcast, and Nicolas Cage. They were all banging actors in the 80s, and they were all these big names. And then the 90s happened, and they were no longer these teenage heartthrobs. They were kind of on the downslide a little bit. Even though Matthew Broderick,
well, not downslide, because Cruise and Cage, they all stayed big throughout the 90s.
That's true, they did, but they didn't. They had to do something to shade that image.
Yeah,
and it was Nicolas Cage had to do
Leaving Las Vegas.
Well, you had to do seriously, look at it. You had to go from like, what do you want to do to be seen as taken seriously as an actor? Okay, well, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, well, that would definitely do it. But Matthew Broderick, he did work, but he didn't really do that same pace as he did in the 80s. Because if you ask anybody what they think of Matthew Broderick, the first thing that comes to mind is Ferris Bueller, War Games, the
Godzilla,
computer wore tennis shoes. But he had a hard time in the 90s.
Wasn't that Kurt Russell, the computer wore tennis shoes?
Was it?
Yeah. That was young Kurt, Disney.
Oof. Never mind, strike that one from the record. If you wouldn't mind, Mark, just kind of making sure that doesn't make it into the podcast.
Hey, that's do you think that's the first time someone's confused Broderick for Kurt Russell?
It could be. I think, well, how many times do you think people have confused Matthew Broderick for Kurt Russell or Kurt Russell for Val Kilmer? Because they were very similar in the 80s.
Yeah, and they were in Tombstone together.
Such a good movie.
So good. We're covering that for our 225th episode.
Really?
Yeah.
That's going to be a good one.
It's going to change lives.
It will. If you haven't seen Tombstone, wow.
But I guess Broderick had done, Godzilla. He stayed... he was also on Broadway at the time. He was acting. But he said he wanted a grown-up role. So
it was hard for people to see him as that. And then, he
didn't want to play the dad yet. And he didn't want to... He's like, I can't play a high school or a college student. So he was in this weird middle ground.
Exactly. And he was 37 years old at the time when he made this movie. So it was like he was kind of at that age, but then he just, I don't know, take it or leave it. I thought he was amazing in this movie, but he didn't get any more roles like this after that. And I think the next big thing that people may remember him from is the Christmas movie that he made with Danny DeVito.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Surviving? No, Christmas was no, that was Tim Allen.
Is Surviving Christmas?
That was the horrible one with Ben Affleck. Jingle All the Way. No, that was,
Jingle All the Way was actually kind of cool.
What was Jingle All the Way is better than the ones we just talked about.
I love Jingle All the Way.
Wait, what's the one? Because it's Danny DeVito, right?
Deck the Halls. It's so bad. Such a bad movie.
They released some bad Surviving Christmas, Deck the Halls, and Christmas with the Cranks.
Christmas with the Cranks, I don't care what anybody says, is such a fun movie. I love that movie.
I respect your opinion. and let's move on.
You son of a bitch. I thought that movie's so fun. I dare you to watch that movie.
It's the opposite of fun.
Christmas with the Cranks?
It's antimatter.
Shut the hell up.
What?
You know you love that movie.
I just said I respected your opinion.
Exactly.
And there's no yes or no. And then you tell me to shut the hell up. Jeez Louise, Chris Kelly. Don't disagree with you.
Tough podcasting.
What? Why did Chris Kelly stop podcasting, Mark? Well, I said that I didn't like Deck the Halls.
How come you don't have that beard anymore?
Rip. He told me to shut the hell up on the podcast.
Oh, gosh.
Jeez, Chris Kelly, man.
So some interesting things to note about this is the character of Tammy. She was 17 at the time, Jessica Campbell. She only has 6 credits to her name.
Yeah, she stopped acting.
She did, very shortly after this. I tried to look her up. I went on Facebook. I went on Twitter. The last thing I could see was posted in 2012. I Googled what happened to Jessica Campbell from Election, and I Googled it. And in 2012, someone posted an update on Facebook just saying that someone had posted something negative about her because she played a hermaphrodite on Freaks and Geeks. So someone said a very negative comment about that on the page, and they deleted it. But that was 7 years ago.
HuffPost tried to get a comment from her on their 15-year oral history that I read for this, and she just didn't comment. She's out of it. She doesn't care. She doesn't be in it anymore.
She's probably doing fine what she's doing. I mean,
this industry is a pain in the ass.
It can be.
It's interesting how people are like, she dropped out of industry and failed. No, she probably just wanted to be home. And
yeah, she probably just wanted a different life for herself. I'm sure she's doing fine. She's, doing whatever. Maybe she's a teacher now. That happens to a lot of people.
I do think what I like about this movie, though, is so I taught for a long time, and I currently teach. And the downtime before his classes start, and the interactions with the students. This movie, I guess, as far as teaching goes, he doesn't put on a red leather jacket and show them karate moves. This seems like a real school, and because they cast real actors or real teachers. But I like that about it. The dress and their hairstyles that he uses. Alexander Payne talked about this in the commentary. Is that he got a lot of flack for that, but he said that he got the look of all the teachers from just general observation from whenever he did scouting. So he said there was a lot of teachers with short sleeves and wearing ties, and that he said the ties never matched the shirts. Yep.
And he said there was a lot of Dockers and Dexter shoes.
Yep.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. He specifically said that. But he's like, also, he wanted to give the character of Jim McAllister look like he got a bad haircut, but he couldn't afford to get a good one. So he's just waiting for his hair to grow out. So he said it's maybe 2 months ago he got a bad haircut, and now he's just waiting for it to grow out.
Oh, that's funny.
Which is interesting because that's kind of what he looks like. But he said this is all from just general observation. It was not a direct attack on teachers or how they're supposed to dress. But it's like, I remember when I was in high school, it's kind of what everybody looked like. But then again,
Oh, dude, I have pictures with me of short sleeve button up shirts and a tie that doesn't match.
Yeah.
That was the fashion at the time. In the 90s.
Yeah. Waiting for that one to come back.
Oh, heck no. So I have a question. Pears, apples, bananas, or oranges? Which one would you eat? You have a choice of 4.
Apple.
Apple?
Or banana. Depends on how I'm feeling. I'm going to lean towards the apple.
You can only have one for the rest of your life.
Banana.
I put it in my morning shake. And you can put bananas and peanut butter, right?
So what I'm trying to say, Kelly, is can you go downstairs and make my shake?
Yeah.
Just gave
I don't put apples in my protein shakes. The consistency of the banana. And protein... So Adam Hodgins of this podcast, we were doing a thing, and he was talking about a baseball player who played for Toronto, and he eats 3 bananas a day.
Holy smokes.
And there's an interview. Adam sent this to me. This baseball player played for Toronto, and he's like, I eat 3 bananas a day because you never see a monkey cramping up, and they eat bananas. So he eats 3 bananas a day.
I don't know if I'd rely that heavily on bananas.
I'll put it in my morning shakes, and I will never have that.
Does it work?
Yeah, listen, man, I haven't had a cramp since 86. But what do you think about Chris Klein in this movie? I think he really captured him perfectly. Like Thomas Hayden Church in Sideways, which he also directed.
And he also, Alexander Payne and Tim Taylor both got an Oscar for that.
I mean, you watch, The Descendants, the way they were able to get Clooney. And then you watch Nebraska, the way that they had Will Forte. I think they can handle these actors really good, but I thought Chris Klein's brand of earnestness worked perfectly in this movie.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, yeah, he definitely, he knows who the character is, that he's very, just kind of, like I said, he's kind and welcoming, and he just believes in the good of people. He even says, deep down inside, they really mean well, but they may put up a front, But they're good people.
I gotta say though, this performance by Reese Witherspoon, you know, I saw Freeway before this, that crazy movie with Kiefer Sutherland.
What was the movie the two movies that she most notably did before this was she was in Fear.
Fear, oh yeah.
Oh, God, I love that movie so much. In Pleasantville, where she plays kind of like the direct opposite of who she is, the direct opposite of who she is in Fear. Yeah. And then she did Pleasantville, which I love that movie
Very good
so
movie.
much. That movie should be celebrated more than what it is.
Toby Maguire, Paul Walker is in it.
Yeah, that's right. He is in that. Yeah. That is such a brilliant movie.
My boy JD, Jeff Daniels.
Yeah, Jeff Daniels. I love his character too. But yeah, she was in that, and then she did this. But she also did a TV movie, which is where the director actually noted her from in the commentary. But then she did this movie.
We haven't really covered it enough, but this is a very good performance.
Oh, absolutely.
Reese Witherspoon, she's a chameleon. If you think about Legally Blonde, Fear, Pleasantville, this, Walk the Line,
Devil's Knot.
Yeah, she can really. She's a very good actress.
She has a lot of range, and it really shows that she's really good at what she does.
And this movie, just her body language, her
you
posture.
believe that she is like this kind of innocent 17, maybe 18-year-old.
Yeah. Now, I do have a question, though. That scene where she talks to Broderick and she is saying we're going to have to spend a lot of time to be really close to each other the next year.
Oh, she's definitely coming on to me.
Yeah, because during that scene, she's playing with the those windows down, and she's playing with the two rubber pieces in between with like her finger between it. Oh. And did you notice that?
Yeah. He talks about that in the commentary.
Yeah, and so, yeah, and then he's just kind of, I hate her now, right? So she was really trying to come on to him, and even Alexander talks about in the commentary about when they're in the same room together, and she's saying, Matthew Broderick is telling her that he knows that basically she destroyed all the posters, and she's saying she didn't do it because there's no proof. I want my lawyer.
And he says that she's fighting and flirting with him. It's like a fight flirt. So it's like she's saying to him, she's like, and there's certain teachers who can't get their wives pregnant.
Yeah.
So it's basically like she's saying like, it's okay for us to do it because there won't be any like there's no way that I'll be able to expose.
I thought it
was the direct opposite.
Yeah, I thought she was going at him like you can't get your way.
No, she was
the thing of a man, right? Like
yeah, she was like cutting him down, but at the same time she's saying like, so it's okay for us to do this. And I was like, wow, I did not catch that at all. But he says that in the commentary. I was really blown away with that. So if you rewatch that scene, you can get that sense that she's fighting him, but at the same time, she's like, we are spending a lot of time together, and we will have to spend a lot of time together. So why don't we just get this out in the air?
Jeez Louise.
Because she's already done it once. Yeah. So she knows that. She knows that he knows that.
But she didn't tell on him either. The mom found the card, right?
I honestly, I can't remember that scene, but I do remember that he has the card and he's like, it's the mom!
Let's move away! And I do think, I like when she says, he just became too wishy-washy.
Yeah, it's interesting because...
And he would have gotten away with it.
If it weren't for that meddling kid.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because she seems like she would have wanted to be with him.
Yeah.
And even at the end, she says, I often think about him. And it's he's sitting there doing the same exact thing as Kurtwood Smith was doing in Citizen Ruth. But it's interesting because most of the time in these situations, the student thinks of as the adult as a creepy character or like a threatening person later on in life. They don't normally talk about like, well, maybe things could have worked out between us. And I don't, I kind of wonder what it was like. I mean,
how much is that the truth of her narration? Do you think that's her earnestness? Or do you think when Broderick narrates things, you're like, this guy isn't telling the truth?
I don't, you never really know. And that's what I like about this is you don't know who's lying, who's full of shit, who's telling the truth. Are they just acting out of anger? Because you totally sympathize a little bit with Jim McAllister whenever he says, who the F does she think she is? And you're like, yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. But, a little bit, not a whole lot, but
Yeah. He's just such a dirtbag though.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that. Like,
where he goes down to the basement.
Do you know who played the character in the porno?
The casting manager.
The extras casting guy. I thought that was brilliant.
Don't worry about the coach. They establish him as a very interesting character, McAllister. He obviously wants nothing to do with like an affair with any students. Yeah. But he's still a dirtbag. Like he's
a dirtbag in his own right. He would never, I don't think he would ever, unless he was pushed, which is what happens.
Yeah.
He would never sleep with his students.
No.
He would never do anything to harm them. And he's a good teacher. He would be the person. It looks like he would never, I guess you'd say, act out of anger unless he had to, which is good.
And he saw her jumping in the air. That's why he threw those things away.
And let's talk about that for a minute, because I tell you what, he would have got away with that shit if he would have done the smart thing and just pocketed them.
Yeah,
I was like, when I showed this to my girlfriend, and she was like, "Oh, he's gonna get busted." I'm like, and if he would have done the smart thing and just act like he was coughing and then like put him in his sock, he would have got away with that. But. And then he got busted by the janitor because the janitor saw him throwing away the Chinese food and it hit the floor and he didn't clean it up.
I mean, if Chris Klein would have voted for himself, he would have won.
And that's another thing, too, because he feels bad. That's how much of an honest guy he is. He feels bad about voting for himself. So it's like, well, yeah. Like, that shows how much of a good guy Chris Klein's character really was.
I guess for me, though, I have a tough time with people... Like, Ebert, in his review, he was pretty harsh on Tracy, saying it, like, how her character was. But she's still a 17-year-old kid. I mean, when you're a high schooler, I mean, there definitely are jerk high schoolers for sure, but I think growing up with a single mom who hands her pills, who probably controls most of the stuff she does, gives her a heavy drive, grows up on the other side of town, has a big thing on her shoulder. I don't think she's...
Do you think her husband left her, or she left her husband?
I have no idea.
I think that she left her husband because he wasn't good enough.
Maybe.
But I think so, because that's the I mean, she's a strong, independent woman. She writes letters to other strong, independent women asking them for advice.
Yeah.
And then she's trying to make her daughter into a strong, independent woman, too.
Yeah.
And I think that she probably saw her husband and was kind of like lesser and was like, well, you're no longer the person I thought you were. I'm now going to take our daughter and we're going to leave.
They put up walls, the two of them, though. I think masking that, and I just feel weird with people saying, "Oh, Tracy Flick is such a I don't know."
I don't think I've read too many negative things. Oh, did you? Yeah, I didn't read too many because it's kind of like, well, who do you root for in this movie? Yeah. I mean, like I said before, I think Tammy's probably the only one that I would say is the best, the kind of the best out of all of them.
She goes to Catholic school and loves it.
Yeah, I love that. She's like, all those like love scenes were shot by Jim Taylor and Alexander Payne.
Oh, really?
On 16mm camera, because he said,
"Oh, that's fun."
He said that he felt that in movies when they show the two people are in love, that it reminded him of like the 1960s movies where everything was in like 16mm and they just kind of did quick shots. Like they go to the zoo and you see the monkey climbing up the tree. And they're like, oh, that's so much fun. And then it shows them on the swing sets. And it's like, I got that same vibe too. Speaking of the Roger Ebert review, he did give this 3.5 stars.
No, he loved it.
He was a big fan. And he said, what sets this film aside from recent high school movies is that it doesn't limit itself to the view of teenagers. It sees, as he saw her as the antagonist, Tracy, through the eyes of the teacher who has had enough of her.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a teenage film, but it's more for adults.
I guess as a teacher, you have a student who will answer every question, but their answers aren't what you're always looking for because they're the exact definition. Hey, so what is freedom? Oh, freedom, according to Merriam-Webster dictionary, is this. It's like, well, no, give me a real world example, and they're like, well, I just told you what it is.
Yeah, and we all knew people like that. Yeah. There was always that. There was always a flick in our class, and they're still there to this day. It's kind of like what he says. No matter what age you are, you're always going to have the same thing over and over again. It's like, yeah, it's pretty true.
Any final thoughts? Any other thoughts about this movie?
I wanted to talk briefly about James Glennon, who was sadly passed away in 2006, but he was the cinematographer on this. His father was Burt Glennon, who taught him everything that he knows. He taught all of his sons, actually, everything that he knows.
That's nice.
His father, Burt, was a cinematographer back in silent films, also in black and white films. He just a few films that we would know Burt from would be Stagecoach. They died with their boots on.
Wow, Stagecoach.
Yeah, right. And tons and tons of Westerns from the 50s and 60s.
Shot so.
But James...
Did he walk? So this is a callback to our last podcast. Do you think he walked around on set?
I think whenever he did,
I sure didn't.
James didn't walk, and he's like, "But I heard your dad walk. I heard Bert was an Olympic runner." Shut up. He didn't even own a car. He just ran everywhere. He was great. But James didn't have quite. He did have a lucrative career, but he wasn't as popular as his father. I think the most notable thing that James shot was probably About Schmidt, which was also done by all the people who did this.
It's a beautiful looking movie.
as well as this was.
Yeah, this is a great looking movie.
But I just wanted to point that out, that the cinematography on this was amazing.
It's so good you almost don't think about it sometimes.
He talks about that in the commentary briefly. It's the shot that whenever McAllister is running out of the school to his car on his way to the CVS, which I think is just beautiful, so that he goes to the CVS to get flowers, chocolates, and champagne, which I was just like, that is so beautiful, beautiful right there. I love that.
And he uses champagne later on his eye after he gets stung.
I just love that whole scene. But he talks about that, just that shot of him coming from the school to his car. They had to change the f-stop 7 times. And he said that was probably the most, that was like, and all the camera ops on this, by the way, were from Citizen Ruth. So see, he said Citizen Ruth was kind of like his trial run in Nebraska. But whenever he knew that they could do everything, so he was like, Election was kind of like their first, I guess you'd say, quote unquote, professional film from this crew. But he said it was all the same people that did Citizen Ruth, including the camera ops, the same music department. There's a lot of the same grips and electricians.
I did love the score.
Yeah, the score is phenomenal.
Like when we meet Chris Klein's character falling down the mountain, his cheeky kind of doofusy score. And then when Matthew Broderick comes home, it's the very sad music type score, which I think is played humorously. I kind of love the score in this movie as well.
Also, the score whenever he's after he gets done with his affair and he envisions himself as kind of like an Italian.
Ciao bella.
He puts that in the commentary, saying that like he envisioned like his character as he's kind of like this James Bond, but like this European version. He's like in Europe, and Italy is known for its great lovers. So he put that in there, and he talks a lot about how a lot of the different backdrops, driving shots that they did use was all from stock footage. Yeah, with Navajo Joe, the theme from Navajo Joe, starring Burt Reynolds. Yep. That's showing on, I think, Tubi right now, and I was like, awesome. I gotta watch that movie. It's been forever. I think I saw that movie like when I was like 4 or 5.
Jeez Louise.
Because I remember seeing, because I mean everybody did when they were kids growing up. I mean that's all you watch was westerns.
Yeah.
The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Oh man, I love that DVD.
I love that show. So good. But yeah, I wanted to just briefly bring him up. And a lot of these, a lot of the producers and everything all did a dynamite job. Keith Samples, for instance, he produced Kingpin before he did this, and Private Parts.
Hey, those are both big movies. Kingpin's another oppressively bleak comedy. It's a comedy.
I'd love that movie.
But it's one of the darkest comedies I think I've ever...
It's midnight, dark. It's so like, oof. I mean...
I love those commercials though with Bill Murray. Sometimes when I wake up in the morning, he's there. And you hear him like snapping people. It's like in the photo, he's still going for it. He's such a sleazeball. I remember when he's playing football, deeper. He's a maniac, Bill Murray. That's a pitch black comedy right there.
I love that one. That's such a great movie. But a couple of other cool shots, a couple of things I just wanted to bring up was, the cinematography, for instance, when we first are introduced to Tammy, when she's on the bed with Lisa, the camera angle switches from on them to sideways, so it makes a big T.
Oh.
T for Tammy.
Hey.
That was intentional.
Well, that's cool.
And one of the quotes I thought was really funny from the commentary was that he points out that Jim McAllister drives a Ford Fiesta. And he says, Ford Fiesta, the car of an impotent man.
Yeah, he's really going off on that.
I remember the 90s, man. There was a lot of damn Geo Metros, Ford Fiestas. They were all over the place.
Little buggers.
They were everywhere. Yugos were pretty popular.
I had a Dodge Shadow, a little 4-cylinder.
Hell yeah.
4-cylinders were everywhere.
I mean, remember like the Geo Metro. You can get, you went 400 miles for the thimble of gas. Yeah. It's like, but I mean, if somebody cut a loud fart, the thing would explode. I mean, it was like...
I started off in Florida, ended up in Ottawa. I don't even want to drive more. This is I'm just gonna park it. So I'm gonna tell you something real quick. In St. Pete, we had F1 racing. They would lock down the city, put all the concrete barriers down, and I always wanted to get in there with some Geo Metros with my buddies, like real roll cages in the Geo Metros. We couldn't handle F1 cars, of course, like we would die. But if we were all in 4-cylinder Geo Metros that topped out at 50, and we're racing that course with like helmets and roll cages, how fun would that be?
That would be awesome.
Like,
I'd sign up for that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not driving an F1 car. I'd die. But like 50 miles an hour in a Geo Metro with like 8 people, how fun would that be? But I always want to do that. Never did.
That would be a lot of fun.
I don't know why.
A few other A few other things noteworthy in this movie is that Jim McAllister is always associated with circles, like we talked about earlier with his tie, his pajamas, everything. He always has circles. Even the food that he eats is in circles. Mm-hmm. Reese Witherspoon is always associated with a straight line, so that no matter what you see, she's on a straight path. Jim McAllister, which I thought was the most interesting that he points out in the commentary, is that the biggest circle that he does in the entire movie is at the end whenever it all comes to a crashing halt. Yeah.
And also, cars are dirty in this movie.
Yeah, I love that idea. I love that because it shows more real. He also mentions the weather, too, is that not everything is always sun shining. The lighting is not always perfect.
Yep.
Which is, I like that, but it only works so much. Certain times it won't really work, in my opinion, but it works perfectly for this movie. He also mentions that he didn't see Ferris Bueller as of the recording of the DVD commentary.
I love that. And I love this talk about how at first a lot of students wanted to be extras and they realized how terrible it was. Yeah. So then he could only fill up a third of the auditorium, or a quarter of the auditorium at a time.
Yeah, half the auditorium was filled. And then at the end shot, when you see both sides of the bleachers, they can only do one full side of the bleachers. So then they had to, so if you watch that scene, they kind of have to like go back and forth. And he says that the last shot, whenever they announced the president of the student body, they have both sides filled up. He said that's because they called an auditorium and they got that shot. And then they had everybody go. Yeah. So it was literally just they showed up, shot it, left. So it was like they got to keep the students for free for 40 minutes.
Imagine the high schoolers watching that movie after it came out. Like you're a sophomore and you're like, what?
Would blow me away. I'd be like, how did they do that? It's like, it's Hollywood magic. It's how we do everything.
So I think it's time for something right now.
Oh my goodness.
Chris Kelly, recommendations. Chris Kelly, recommendations. What do you think? Is that a good one?
Yeah. I like that one. That one's pretty good. But yeah, like I just want to explain real quick. I like to do my recommendations every time that we do talk about a film. And I consider these recommendations to be a lot like a wine or a beer that would complement the main course. So if you look at this podcast as Election as your main course, then these movies would complement the film. Ooh. So it's not going to be directly like, oh, well, this movie's nothing like this. And it's like, well, it's not meant to be. It's supposed to complement it.
I like it. Like a Belgian beer with some cheese.
Oh, I just wanted to add this really quick to go back to Election. If you do want to watch Election, it's now streaming on Popcorn Flicks, Pluto TV, and Amazon Prime.
Really?
Yeah.
What's Pluto TV? Is that free?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, oh man, you got to get it. If you don't have Pluto TV, they have a channel on there that's all Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Really?
It's un-effing believable. If we didn't already use the PG-13.
Yeah, we did a PG-14.
I've seen so many PG. I've seen so many.
I'm gonna run around the room real quick.
I've seen so many great movies on Pluto. They have, oh man, I saw The Miami Connection on there.
Oh yeah.
That's a classic and a half.
I love that movie.
I've seen Black Fist on there.
Friends for Eternity.
Friends forever. Gonna be, oh my God, that movie was terrible. I love that movie. It's so bad.
Alamo Drafthouse.
There's a lot of great channels on there. They routinely will change out the films. They also have a part on there that says not streaming on Netflix. So it's a ton of films that aren't on Netflix.
Dig it.
It's great. I love it. So like I said, back to my recommendations. The first movie I want to talk about is 1991's Delicatessen.
Oh yeah.
I thought this was a great pairing. I watched it again last night just to refresh my mind, and I was like, oh yeah, this movie really does go with it. It's very dark. It's very humorous, and it adds a lot. It has a lot of mystery, and also at the same time, you're laughing at things that you wouldn't normally laugh at, kind of like you would with Election. But the basic premise is a landlord in an apartment building who kills off the deadbeat tenants because they can't pay the rent. So he kills them and then sells them as meat to the other people who live in the building. It also takes place in a post-apocalyptic world. So people, it's a very
good movie,
quirky, weird,
French.
Funny. Yes, it's French. It's one of the first films. And excuse me for butchering this.
Wait, one of the first French films?
No.
Wait, Chris.
What happened to the bicycle thieves?
What about Breathless? Wait, way before that. That was 60. Chris Kelly. It's one of the first going on French cinema here.
One of the first films by, forgive me for butchering it, but yes, Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
Yeah.
He did Amélie and A Very Long Engagement, which I love both of those movies. But they're very quirky, kind of weird. and Goofball.
I love the color palette of Amelie. Red and green.
It's beautiful.
Really contrasting.
Beautiful film.
Yeah.
Beautifully
Skipping
shot.
stones.
They're not breaking any bones.
Let's hope not. You hit a duck or something?
But if you want to watch Delicatessen, it's streaming right now on Tubi.
Sweet. Oh, that's free.
Yes.
Hey, no.
To follow up with that, I also felt like this movie was a great choice. I watched it this morning. It's called COG.
COG.
C-O-G. If you haven't seen it, it definitely complements very well with Election. It's a very, very flat. I wrote here dead flat dark comedy, which it really is. It's a very, and it's a movie. It's the first adaptation of a David Sedaris work, because he was very strongly against his work ever being put into movies. But it took about 3 years for the director, Kyle Patrick Alvarez, to convince him to make this movie, make his short story into a movie. And the basic premise is that David Sedaris, excuse me, is kind of like a spoiled rich kid, college graduate. I don't think he was in real life, if I'm not mistaken, but he's kind of like a spoiled kid, kind of knows it all. And he decides he wants to get some quote unquote real world experience after reading The Grapes of Wrath. So he decides to work into a field. He works at an apple orchard, and he finds out very quickly that the world is not like how he's been taught in college. He becomes very angry very quickly, because he realizes that people aren't like who you would think they are.
Yeah.
And what I thought was a really good touch is that he meets up, his friend that he was going to go to the apple orchards with to get to the real world experience comes in halfway through the movie, and she's like, well, no, we're going to go on vacation, me and my boyfriend. He's like, are you out of your effing mind? We were supposed to do this together. Do you have any idea how much this sucks? And it's just like, it's really interesting. And then then about halfway through the movie, it changes paces from the apple orchards to then meeting this character, where he says that he leaves the apple orchard, says that he got a job teaching at Yale, which he doesn't. So he calls this number of this pamphlet from a man that he met in the beginning, saying, "Are you a COG? Or are you a COG?" And he's like, "I'm going to call him and see what's up." So he meets up with him, and he finds out that this guy, he's an amputee from the Afghanistan war. He used to be very angry, but he found God, and now he's trying to. He's basically making a comeback for himself, and he has this great idea to make money. He's basing his entire life on this big slab of jade that he has, which I looked up the cost of jade, and actually, I mean, if he just sold raw jade, the lump that he had, he probably would make out pretty well.
Nice.
But that's not what he does. He decides to make clocks out of jade, slabs of jade, in the shape of ore. Of course, nobody buys it at these festivals because it's kind of stupid. And he's charging $100, and they're like, "No, that's too heavy." But then with the spare bits and pieces, David makes these little jewelry boxes, and they buy that. The guy gets angry with him for that, and he more or less kicks him out of his life. And he says, "You'll never like." He finds out after he accepts. There's a scene where he accepts God into his heart. David does. And he's now a COG. I'm not going to tell you what that means, but at the end of the movie,
Child of God.
Yeah, but as a spoiler alert,
crap.
That's the end of the movie. Oh. Thank you. But he's like, he says to tell him basically, "You'll never be a child of God. Now get out of my truck." That's kind of how it ends.
Got it.
It doesn't matter if you know that part of it. It's a beautifully shot film, very flat comedy,
I just wrecked it.
Much like Election is. But that came out in 2013. That is now on FilmRise and Vudu. So, yeah.
That was good. What movie are we doing next?
What movie? Since you talked about baseball, I really have a hankering to watch Major League.
I own Major League.
I love that movie.
I'll do Major League next.
Also, let me just add real quick. If you do want to see Election, it is streaming on those things. Or if you want to watch Delicatessen, COG, you can watch them there. Or you can go see my buddies over at Videodrome. It's across the street from Manuel's Tavern. $5. $5 for a rental, and you get to keep it for the week. You can also listen to the commentaries on all these, and you can get all the behind the scenes action.
Love it.
all on the DVDs.
So we're doing Major League next.
Hells yes.
Dude, that's gonna be fun.
Love that. I remember that was like one of our first podcasts.
Yeah.
I was like, I still do that line that Willie Mays Hayes says. He goes, "Shit, I've been caught already."
Just a bit outside. Actually, I don't know if I used to own the AstroTurf version. They sold a DVD with the AstroTurf front.
Yeah, that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I lose all my stuff.
Nah, all my DVDs look... You know what? I brought out my copy of Pet Sematary the other day. I was showing it to my girlfriend. I was going to show her Candyman or Pet Sematary. And I couldn't find Candyman, but Pet Sematary. And it was like warped. I was like, well, it makes sense. It's almost like 20 years ago I bought it.
Yeah.
Because it came out, they did like an edition. It came out like 20 years ago. I was like, God, that's so weird to think
If
about.
my Deep Blue Sea DVD warps, I'm gonna have a Viking funeral for it.
I'm going to beat the in Bruges out of you.
Hey, well, this was fun, man. And then we'll do Major League next, huh?
Yeah, I love that idea.
Sweet. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Chris Mad Dog Kelly, Movies, Films, and Flicks, we'll see you next week.
See you guys.